As a social studies teacher, one of my greatest problems is student apathy towards history. Student apathy comes from students' uninterest because they believe that history is boring and has no value to them in their personal lives. Next year, I'll be teaching at King College Preparatory High School. This is a high school in Hyde Park, Chicago, Illinois. It has a selective enrollment, a large amount of AP curriculum, but most of those students have a lack of historical background when they enter their freshman year. This is because the school predominantly pulls from Chicago's South Side. Although the students are highly motivated to attend King College Prep because of selective enrollment, due to the large amount of AP curriculum, many of them do not have the prior skills needed for the advanced content. The Illinois State Standards for Social Studies clearly state that students in the early high school history classes must be able to analyze and report historical events to determine cause and effect relationships. They also state that for political systems, students must be able to analyze historical trends of the United States foreign policy. It is possible for students to be able to pass both of these state standards by simply using rote memorization to memorize key facts for a test. However, if I want students to be able to determine cause and effect relationships by understanding past events, I need them to engage with the material and be able to use this understanding outside of the classroom. The key question is how to engage these students with the content. One tool that may be used in social studies classrooms is Google Earth. Google Earth is a free software that comes from Google that can be downloaded for both Windows and Mac. It appeals to visual learners as it allows the students to create, modify, and interact with images and movements of different locations around the world. It can be accessed individually or as groups or even as entire class projects. The goal of Google Earth is to have students create their own curriculum. Students can do this by creating tours that allow viewers to fly from location to location. This allows for students to contextualize where in the world an event has taken place, even if they have never been there or haven't even heard of it. The interaction between the students, the content, and the images related to the curriculum are also key, as students are able to create their own content that they can place at the location in Google Earth, as well as modify and create their own images that they can add to the Google Earth tour. As students create their own content, this can be done in either a class setting, as individual projects, or as an alternative assessment. As I instruct my students on how to use Google Earth in the classroom, there are several tools that I would want them to be comfortable with. First of which would be zooming, which on the right hand side they can zoom in and out. Next, I would give them the tools they need to create their alternative assessment. First thing that I'd have my students create in this alternative assessment is a place mark. First they go up and they enter where they want to go in the search bar in the upper left. Once they have done that, it'll take them to that location where they can move the screen, zoom in, change the view of their location to exactly where they'd like to be. Then they go to the upper left and they can click on the Add Place Mark, which will add exactly the view they're looking at. They can then add a title and a description. I've already created a few here. Once they've added that, you can simply click on them and it gives the title and the description that they have created. Also, it does save these place marks in the time zone or the time period that is already set in this time bar. So if you were to change it to 1943 and then create a place mark, it would save it as the Eiffel Tower circa 1943. Once the students have created the place marks in the appropriate locations, they can then group them together in a folder on the left hand side. Folders are then created by right clicking, add to, add folder. Once they have done this, they can create a tour. I have already created a tour of Europe with several locations. Once that is selected, they can select to play the tour. It will then begin the tour from the first location. As you can see on the bottom, there is a pause bar. So this is the first stop. I'd have the students pause here, and then when they would be submitting this to me, I would have them record their tours. The record button is in the upper toolbar. Once they select that, they can hit record, and this will now, like a screencast, record everything that the student does in Google Earth. So they begin the tour, and it is now recording the flyover. So they're set the Eiffel Tower, and then it will immediately take off and fly to the next location. While it's flying to the next location, the timeline goes back to 1945, which is when we selected to look at Big Ben. The student can then pause the screencast, click on the information that they have already created, which will then be listed on the screen. They can then discuss it and add their own voice content while it's still recording. Once the students have recorded their tour and all the information, they can hit the red stop record button, which would then start an immediate preview of the recording that they just created. They pause this, can hit save, which they'll title it, add a description, which they will then be created on the left-hand side here, or they can easily submit that to me to view. Once the students have submitted this to me, I can use it either to grade on my own or have them use it as a part of a presentation that they present to class. Some of the benefits of Google Earth are that they can interact with this information that they otherwise might find boring or uninteresting. It's using images, 3D models of cities from either past or present, where they can actually put the information over or voice over themselves. And it also allows them to interact. They can either do this individually or on a group level, or we could create one together as a class. So it really allows me as a teacher a lot of room to play around and use this tool to best utilize its ability to bring these students to the content that they may have never experienced before.